Welcome, 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 everybody. Come on in to another Dee Wiz. Having a conversation with Dee Wiz. Come on in, everybody. Welcome. And I want to start off by saying, usually we do have this conversation, this channel. We talk about music mostly. We talk about the music business, the theory of music, and the thought process of music. I talk to musicians, artists, but that word artist actually is a big word. It goes into visual arts. Graffiti artists are artists. I grew up in the environment of being a graffiti artist. I was in a crew called Tagging 24/7. So art is not just what you see around me, music. I concentrate and focus on that because that's who I am. But I met someone when I was doing BYLR radio that was really interesting to me. She's a voice actor. And when we think of voice actors, I usually would think of watching the behind the scenes of like Shrek or the behind the scenes of a Disney movie where I'll see, Kevin Hart, they'll have an actor or whatever, and they have the microphone in front of them, and they're doing a bunch of voiceovers. That's what I'm accustomed to seeing, and that's artistry to me. However, when I was doing the radio show, I met a young lady by the name of Amanda Sellers that is a voiceover actor, and we're going to bring her in. And I want to talk to Amanda today about the culture of being a voiceover actor. What comes about being a voiceover actor? Who wants to be a voiceover actor? So everybody, let's welcome in Ms. Amanda Sellers, everybody, to the room.
Thank you, Dee Wiz. I love it. And yes, I'm all about the artist life in all realms. So I didn't even know I was going to become a voice actor, but I knew that I had to follow that creative and artistic path. So
Right.
I literally just fell into it when I was a radio DJ because I used to be a singer in a band and toured all over and, lived the rock and roll lifestyle. I did some acting, some commercials, whatnot, but it wasn't until I was a radio DJ and they said, okay, we need you to do these local commercials for the hardware store. And I went into the sound booth at the station. And the second that I did that, Dee, I was like, this is the career path for me. This is what I'm meant to do. So from that moment on, that is how and why I pursued voice acting so passionately and learned all about it. I just immersed myself in it and I said, this is what I need to do. And I made it happen. So here we are.
So let's put a bookmark right there, right?
Yeah.
Let's take our bookmarker and put it right there. And let's take it back for a little bit. And I want to come to how we got there. And then once you made that decision, the path and the road you've taken since then. So prior to that, okay, what age was that when you said, this is it? I saw it and my life just changed when I heard this is what I can do. What age were we
I was 27.
at that time?
Yeah.
Okay, so prior to 27, where does Amanda Sellers come from, and what brought you to 27? Because I believe you had some musical background prior to then that brought you there as well.
For sure. And if I think back to it, I was always the kid in class that raised my hand to volunteer reading. I was on the announcements at school. I always wanted to articulate and to read things. And so it makes sense now
Right.
looking back. I loved listening to the radio. And then obviously when I moved to Vancouver at 18, I grew up in Saskatchewan, middle of nowhere, basically. But moved to Vancouver to go to theater school. And that's when I did learn about voice acting because I met some people that were in animation and I was like, how do you do this? But, I started a band and I did that thing. So voiceover was kind of like in the back burner of my mind. I knew it existed, but I didn't know that I would like circle back to it again. I thought I'm going to be a rock star and this is my path. So I just, had a band, lived on the road. I lived in a van, just free spirit, right?
Right.
And then, so that's basically, I did music for like 10 years and, and then did some acting and just really kind of random weird jobs. But then 27, I was like, I just need a break from music. And, on the road, I was drinking a lot,
Right.
like just partying every night. I'm like, well, when does this end? And what's, is this my life? And I mean, I really give it to musicians who grind it out because I
Right.
think if we would have grinded it out for maybe a few more years, like we were starting to get momentum and I think it would have like taken off. But But I'm really also grateful because my health would have been completely shot with all the partying. So I became a radio DJ. Someone offered me a job as a DJ, and I was like, yeah, sure, let's do it. I had no training, and I was not really a great DJ, but that's the day, right? When 27, kind of in that, like, what am I going to do with my life stage? And I just like started reading my first script, my first commercial, and then that was it. And so that was the beginning of the career. And that is also the time when the online casting and everything online became a thing. Because before that, it was all about being in the major markets like New York, Chicago, LA. And then you had the agents and you would like drive around and go to auditions.
Right.
But right when I was 27 and getting into it, it's kind of like when, Uber took over taxis. It was like, the online world took over voiceover, which, it's kind of like one of those tough pills to swallow for like the old school. It's like, oh, you ruined the industry, but it's like, you got to evolve with,
Right.
evolution and change. So it was like the perfect timing that I got into it too.
So now when I think about my earliest thoughts of music, being a musician, now there's training, there's just so much, there's a lot of education that has to come into being a musician, picking an instrument or whatever. So once you say, I want to do this, I want to be a voiceover actor. Like, what's step one?
Right. It's so crazy because everyone who becomes a voice actor comes from so many different backgrounds, and some people will, do extensive training. And I think honestly, my like success in it was just because of my past and all of those things that led up to it. And I think if I would have thought too much about it, I never would have succeeded because I didn't think anything about it. Like I didn't think I need training. I just like knew that I wanted to do it. So people can go to voiceover classes, and I have an online voiceover course that people take. But it's so much about just being in your natural state,
There
right?
is classes for me to learn how to use my talking voice.
Yeah, but to me, and what I try to teach people is less is more. It's like you talking to me right now is the voice that I would want to hear on a commercial. I wouldn't really want you to put anything on. You would just have to like add some emotion into it, color some words, put some passion behind it and like a little bit of attitude here and there, whatever the description is. But it's like, it's kind of like almost a natural ability I think that people have. I don't know if you feel that way with musicians. Like there's that like soul and that like passion that will come through, and it makes it easier for one person versus another.
Right.
I don't know. So yeah.
Yeah, with musicians, I think it starts out the same way. You
Yeah.
have an obsession towards music, and like you said, hey, I just start doing it. You pick up an instrument and you just start learning some chords, strumming out some things that you hear on the radio, your favorite band or whatever, or if it's drums, you do the same thing. And I would imagine the same thing is with being a voice-over actor. Am I correct? Like, hey, I heard this commercial. I want to sound like that. Or I'm going to mimic this. I'm going to mimic that. Do you guys have the same type of obsession that goes on in your mind? These
Yeah.
voices that go in and out?
Absolutely. And people have their different strengths as well. One of my really good friends, she's absolutely phenomenal at doing voices and animation. And she can do like 30 different characters, and you tell her to do any accent or any sound with her voice, she can do it. But then you give her like a commercial script where you have to sound like natural, friendly person next door.
Right.
And it's really hard for her to tap into that. Whereas like I'm, more into the commercials and the narrations, and I do some animation, but I'm more like the real voice. I don't really have the like crazy, Tara Strong is the one that comes to mind in our industry. She's like the best of the best when it comes to all the animation voices and whatnot. But yeah, everyone has their thing. Some people love to do video games where you're like, I've done quite a few video games, but then you have to think about
Wow.
your
Goodness.
vocal cords. Like I would have to do death screams, and you're like, oh, like
Wow.
dying.
Amanda, when I was introducing you, I didn't even think about video games.
Right,
I said
yeah.
movies, cartoons, and these are things that we just take for granted as well.
Yeah.
They're like, so voiceover actors also get hired for, like you said, video games and screaming and laughing and wow.
Yeah. So my craziest job, Dee, was for Febreze, and I was the sniff in the Febreze commercial. I don't know why they didn't get the actor on stage.
Love it. Love it.
I'm like, it was like a really decent amount of money to go, ah. And I had a directed session where there was like 5 people listening to me, and I had to do it over and over for an hour. I thought, oh, this is going to be such an easy session, in, out, like it's a sniff, right?
Yeah.
But it was like an hour session, and they had all these like, I want you to think about like, walking into a field of flowers and you're, just got married. And I'm like, okay, I'll sniff like that. Like, it's just like so random.
What determines a good sniff?
I have no idea what they were. I was like, I am not a good sniffer. I was actually like insecure during that. I'm like, I'm not good at this, but I don't know, Dee. But that was, yeah, there's so many ways that we use our voices, like GPS systems, elevators. I've been like on a scanner at Costco, like battery low, 10%. Like,
they're killing me. I love it.
Or I was like the voice of the Roomba, the Roomba vacuum, and it goes around.
That little,
and,
yeah. You were that.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
wait. This is too much. Too much input. Too much.
No.
So what happens is, gosh. So they record your voice, Amanda. All right. So now for me, I don't know how the business goes, and again, you can educate people.
Right.
If I had a song that I wrote here, and General Electric, GE, wanted to use my song for their vacuum, I'm licensing my song to them.
Yeah.
Is that the same thing with your voice? Is this licensed to them? Or, I mean, people that maybe want to get into this profession.
Yeah. There's so many different ways now. Back in the day when it was people going in studios, it was kind of like a, cookie cutter way of doing it. It was like you get hired and then you have like residuals, and it was just one way. Now that the internet has taken over, and literally like think about all the online learning. I've literally been teaching nurses at the University of Southern California like how to become nurses. Like I basically have like a nursing education because I have like taught textbooks of it. And so much online learning now. Plus so much, before when you would get hired at a job, say like I got hired at McDonald's, and they would have like the human resources manager of like how to do your job, right? And you flip through it and learn. Now it's all online. So I teach people how to like flip the burgers at Burger King, or how much, oatmeal to put in like at Tim Hortons, which is up here, or pet stores, like how to sell the products, 7-Eleven, business owners at 7-Eleven, like where to place their items so that more people put things in the basket. Like, at the end of this, you want more here, you'll have better at the checkout. Like you just learn such random things.
Yeah.
So that makes it that like anything that you do, it's super random. Like I'll do a job that's like, $400, and like, you never hear from them again. And it's just like a, little thing that they use for whatever. Or say something like I just did like a massive campaign for Ziploc, and then it's more like contracts, and they have a 1-year usage buyout, and if they want to use it again after, then they have to like renew the contract. So I'm a non-union voice actor, which means that I can do like kind of the smaller jobs, which is like those are the bread and butter, like those keep you going day to day. And then you'll get like the Ziploc, the Expedia, the Visa, the bigger brand names that you might get like maybe 3 or 4 a year that are just like the, cha-ching, yeah, like, hit the gold jackpot kind of thing.
So like even in our cars, like these voices that sound like electronic, is that AI, or does that start out initially as a person?
Yeah, it's going really weird now. Like now it's like literally going to like digital, where you can just put in like words and it'll like spit it out. But that's like coming out now. It's kind of crazy.
They're going to edge you guys out, in other words.
Well, that's what they think. But then there's been like all this research saying that there's no way you can actually edge out a human voice, but they're making it sound so realistic that you can't tell. So
And that's
I don't
what I'm
know.
thinking.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking right now, So the same way the way technology is, Amanda, it's just technology. You know,
Right.
like
Yeah.
you look around me. Before now, all the studio digital stuff, everything was analog, and you would see big instruments here. Now everything is compact in a little computer, and I can
Right.
control drums here. I can
Yeah.
control strings,
Right.
horns. I can control voices here
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
You get my point? So what I'm
Yeah.
thinking is, do you think within the next 5 to 10 years that, hey, you know what? They've perfected AI to the point where now there is an Amanda Sellers that has my emotion, my diction,
Yeah.
the way I pronounce words, everything. Do you think it could be going in that direction?
I do. I mean, intuitively, Dee, I don't see how it could completely take over, but I definitely think it'll be something that's a thing where you can get a cheaper product by just using an AI version. But I do think that people will want to work with someone like, I think these big brands, especially, they want that like emotion and like, I don't know, they want to direct it a certain way. They want you to inflect a line. Trust me, I don't know,
So,
but
so this can I go down this little hole?
yeah,
Can I use a little push?
of
And the
course.
only reason why I am, because I've seen it happen in my industry,
Hmm.
where everything, see, music is emotion, isn't it?
Yeah,
Music comes
yeah,
from here.
that's
It's
right.
not something I can go and buy. This is something I can go and buy. This is something I can go and buy. Someone made this. Music, 100%, it comes from here,
Yeah,
you
right.
know? And so
Yeah,
our voices and who we are come from here as well. And technology has made it where, we're expressing it through here. Now, there is chord progressions and structures that the music community, that science has already determined. If you put these chords together, this chord progression,
right.
1, 5, 4, 6, if
Yep,
you in any particular format, that will come to be a hit record. This makes
right.
humans feel this way. Now you've been a musician. Now you know major chords, major key scales make people feel happy. Minor, diminished, etc., does the opposite,
Yeah.
to humans and brings out another emotion. So now let me push a little forward with in your industry with voiceovers and stuff. Do you think that technology can bring it where they do studies and research and say, hey, well, we've done studies where this particular voice with AI tweaked this particular way. Now we're getting more emotion from human beings because a human voice can't bring about this, and we could tweak this, even fine tune it a little more. The same way now, auto tune could make me sound perfectly on key.
Yeah, I absolutely wouldn't doubt it. It's hard to fathom, right? Just like probably music was. But I will tell you something. One of the weirdest jobs that I've had, and this was an ongoing job I did for years,
Yeah.
was I was hired by neuroscientists who were writing scripts for major brands. So think like Gatorade, Pampers, like these big brands. And they would have three concepts, three scripts that they were going to take to market. But what they would do is they would get me to read these three scripts with zero emotion,
Right.
like zero anything behind it, read it like a robot. And then they would take those three concepts, they would get like a test group and they would like hook them up to like machines on their brains
Uh huh.
and read the waves of their brains to see which ones they like had emotion to
Right.
before there was any inflection in the voice, which is so crazy. And so then these big brands would, okay, we want that script because that like made the most, things go off in the ding ding ding, like whatever side. So yeah, so it's very similar. They're probably hooking up robot, like, yeah. So
They
then
are
what?
doing this test right now.
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
The theory of
Yeah.
relativity is tested every single day. The theory of gravity is tested every single day.
Yeah.
The speed of sound is tested every single day. These things are tested every single day
Right.
to make
Yeah.
sure this is still what it is. Or, hey, you know what? We're getting a little closer to this particular galaxy or the sun, etc. So Gravity now is functioning a little different than it was 3 million years ago, etc. So these things are tested every day by
Yeah.
scientists to
Right.
improve, to continue to validate things. And
Yeah.
again, I've seen it happen in my industry.
Yeah. And so, Dee, do you think though that like having a level of confidence or like relationships with people would like save you? Because like people have asked me like, are you scared that AI is going to take over? But I have no fear. I'm just like, oh, we'll figure it out. Like you have to go with evolution. So, what do you think?
I'm gonna tell you exactly what I feel. So years ago in the 90s, early 90s, I was working in Sam Mash, and I was pretty much still a drummer. When I say drummer, got the things you see behind me,
Yeah.
get in the band, play drums, learn songs, etc. I wasn't into sampling. I wasn't into where music is today, the digital age. It just started. And I remember a friend, Ray Deeger, shout to Ray Deeger, I was working at Sam Ash. He said, "You know, D man, take a year out, put the sticks down. You're always gonna have that." He said, "Learn this computer shit, D. Just learn
Wow.
this computer shit, and you'll take that and you'll apply it to this. And do yourself a favor, D. Just do that." And you know, Amanda, I did do that. Now, how does that answer your question? And I'm married together. I believe that in your industry, being able to manipulate your own voice and like record your voice. For example, do you know what Melodyne is? Do you know what this application called Melodyne is?
Yeah, I think so. It's like for pitch or something. No.
Correct. Correct.
Okay.
Correct. So I think that being a computer operator that's able to program
Mm.
an AI voice or
Right.
whatever, it's cheaper.
Yeah.
And again, they're going to continue to do tests on how to sell products more, on
Mhm.
how humans, respond to things. Look, you have, I don't know if you have it in Canada, but over here you have Uber deliveries now with
Yeah.
robots. Have you seen that yet?
Oh, not with robots, but yeah, and I've seen even at like restaurants where they have like the robots like bring the food.
Come on.
Yeah. And the drones, right? Like I know that the drones to drop off like Amazon stuff is all happening. So then what do humans do? Like what do we do? Like what are we going to do?
Program.
Program. I'll be the programmer. I'll program my voice and be
Yeah.
like, "Okay, how do you
Honestly
want me to
speaking.
sound?"
Because
Right.
that's what
Right.
my industry evolved to being.
Right.
Programmers,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
musicians
programming.
learned how to record themselves and program things and learned that stuff and blended it together. I think in your industry, I think that's where it's going. And I
Yeah.
trust me, I'm not trying to sound pessimistic. I'm saying this with optimism, as in like, wow, it
Mhm.
will evolve to this, not edging out humans, which
Yeah.
it may sound like it, but um, yeah, I do think the digital age.
Yeah, no, and it's funny because it's not the first time I've heard it. Like I've had conversations about it, and that, like, yeah, it is going that way. How fast will it take off? Like, how much money is being invested in this right now? Like, which companies are like, at the forefront of like making it like a thing? So,
So let me ask you
um,
some questions. What is Siri? Is Siri a human or is Siri AI?
Siri, well, the very first original Siri, her name was Susan Bennett, and she had no idea that she was going in to work for Apple when she did it. She signed a contract.
Whoa!
Yeah, it's like so many of this. It's like we don't know what we just kind of sign your life away. Like,
Tell me the
you know,
story. Her quick
uh,
story. How did this
yeah. So
happen?
she was the absolute very first. You can Google her, Susan Bennett, and she's got lots of interviews and stuff out there. But she was hired, I think, by a company overseas. Um, and it was going to be like a long studio session where she was in for like 8 hours a day and just repeating these words. And it was kind of like the first time that anyone's ever had a job really like this. Like what? And I've done jobs like this, but not to that extent.
Repeating
But
these words. What do they just take every single word from the dictionary, Amanda, and just say read every like? How's that repeating these
yeah,
words?
I think it wasn't every word. Like it wasn't like every word in the dictionaries because they definitely did piece some words together, like some inflections and stuff where they piece together. But there would be some phrases like the obviously the let me find that for you, or just a minute, you can ask me anything. Like those were all lots of phrases. Yeah, like some of those Wikipedia ones and stuff. I don't even know how they like put them together, but she didn't have to do like everything, but it was maybe a couple months, maybe 6 months. I don't know how long she was in there, but as a voice actor, we wake up unemployed every day.
Right.
So when you're gonna get a paycheck, it's like, oh, like 6 months of work, like I'm in, not even knowing really what it's for, because you sign like a confidentiality agreement and they don't tell you. So yeah, it was kind of like a little bit of a slap in the face to her, but at the same time, I mean, now she's like famous because she was the first one. So now the ones all over the world, you've got Australian, you can have different kind of accents and stuff like that. They are real people, but I think they're having to say less and less now because they do mash it together.
So Susan,
Yeah, Susan Bennett.
would they take Susan's voice, and then when you say accents,
Mm.
would they, now this is where I'm saying back to the AI conversation. I'm not going to stay
Mm.
there. Do you think, you get where I'm going? They would take
Yeah.
Susan's voice, and
Right.
now, AI, or where we are with technology, now Susan is talking Spanish, same voice.
Right.
Susan is talking French, Italian, this particular accent, that particular accent. That's exactly where I was speaking about. Taking one
Yeah.
voice and being able to do all of these different things. Do you think that's where AI is going? Or
Yeah.
technology, so to speak?
Yeah, I do think it's going that way, Dee. Yeah.
Or is it
But
there yet? Is it there
I
now?
mean, I know that it's so close, and yeah, it is happening, but it's
Okay.
like the way it's happening right now, it's more like phone systems. Like, so a company can like put something together like, "Hi, thanks for calling, la la la." Like, press 1 for sales, 2 for marketing, or whatever. Um, I think they're doing it in like small bits like that. It's not like completely taken over. It hasn't got into like the commercial world or stuff like that, but.
So back to Susan. Now, they would take, you said it started out that way. That's what you
Mhm.
said. It started out. So the Siri that we know now is no longer Susan?
Yeah, they replaced her, or I don't even know how they did it, but they've had like evolutions of it. And I don't think it's her anymore, or she might still be the American one. I don't know, but it's weird. It's evolved so much, and then they did actually have so many other people from all over the world doing it as well in their, respective countries and stuff. So,
But Siri is still a human voice. A human
yes.
voice.
Yes, I believe so. I believe there are components of it, but I think it's becoming more digitized as we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, don't hold Amanda to
Yeah,
this. This
no,
is being
like,
recorded
I'm not a
right
doctor.
now, on today's date, which is January 17th. So tomorrow, which could be January 18th, it could be something totally different. So
Oh
don't
yeah.
hold on. Please comment and let us know,
Yeah.
actually, if, this is going on. More
Yeah.
questions with some of these things that I want to know. I'm sure others want to know. So when I write sometimes to people, and it shows my age, if I'm emailing them and I'll text them, I'll write, "You have mail," or "You
Mm,
got mail," and
right.
I'll write AOL lady voice or whatever. Was the AOL voice, was that a human?
Yes, it was. I can't remember who it was, but it was definitely a human voice. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are all games, Xbox, Sony PlayStation, and are these all human voices, or some of them
Yeah.
AI?
Yeah, I would say video games, they are mostly um, humans, and a lot of it is done in Los Angeles, and then a lot of it is done like, it's so weird. I've done a lot of video games, but so many of them were in Russia, like Russian companies that developed the audio for the games. Like, there's these little pockets of
Wow.
interesting places where things are done. So there just happened to be like a lot of audio being like produced in Russia. So it's like, even a video game, it's like so in depth, like a movie, right? You have like the sound stage and the obviously like the writers, like people are writing the scripts of these characters, and then how the game unfolds. It's such a weird thing. And there's so many video games. Like, it's just endless, the amount of stuff that's out there. You hear about PlayStation and Xbox, but there's so much stuff online or things
Right.
that pop up on your phone when you get ads. Like it's just, yeah, tons.
Now, when you did you said I did one that was like Susan's where I had to go and say a bunch of words and things like that.
Yeah.
Now, this is such a big it's such a big culture being a voiceover actor, and I'm starting to learn it now. Okay, so when you do something like that, Amanda, could you take us into something like that, a session like that? Because you said, she was doing 6 and 8 hour sessions day after day after day after day after day.
Right.
Um, Tell us how your day is in a situation where you were you said the vacuum. Like, how does take us into a session like that?
Yeah, for sure. So it's another thing that's so random. So, and it's funny because as you evolve as an actor, then you start to weed out the jobs that you don't like. In the beginning, I would take anything. So the things that I actually don't like, which some people love, are like audiobooks. Like they're so draining, they take forever. You're in the booth and yeah, some things that are super long. Some people just do commercials. So sometimes you can knock out a commercial in 30 seconds and it's like one take. Like I did one for, I think, like Wonder Bra the other day, and it was like one take. They're like, yeah, perfect, this is it. And then it's like on the air, people are like, oh, I heard your commercial for Wonder Bra. I'm like, oh, cool. And then you'll do another thing, like say like Lego, or I don't know, even Ziploc. Like you're on the phone, like you're on a call and you've got like 10 people listening from all over the world at their different headquarters and their different, you got a creative director, a producer, the writer, the talent buyer, the purchaser. Like there's just like all these people,
Wow.
and there's like it's like too many cooks in the kitchen sometimes because everyone's got a different opinion of how it's going to go. And you can be in those sessions for like 4 hours. Usually, like the cap for a voice actor talking is 4 hours, so they don't usually have you like in a session longer than that. But yeah, and I feel like nowadays, like if I get like an e-learning script or a narration, I mean, I don't even think about it. I don't read it first. I don't, it's just clockwork. Like I've become, for someone who never read as a kid, like I kind of, repelled like reading.
Yeah.
Now it's like I'm such a good reader because for 15 years every day I've been reading. So
Yeah. Yeah. Um, okay, so as I said, like video games. Now, what are all of the areas that we just take for granted? Give me some other things that, Dee, I think the
oh
average human being, supermarket, for example, I just said, or
yeah,
whatever, the
oh yeah,
scanner.
yeah. So at Target, when you go to Target, and you have to go to Target and listen next time, okay? My friend Amy is the Target girl, and she says, "Thank you. Have a nice day. Don't forget your receipt." I remember when I found out she got
Yes.
that job. I was so jealous. I'm like, I want to be the Target checkout girl. Another thing that people don't think about is toys. One of my good friends does all of the for real dolls, like the like purring kitten. Ironically, I've got a kitten here, but
Right.
like the the kitten and the dog, and she does all those sounds like the monkey, the dragon. Like they're called for real dolls. I bet your girls.
Right, my granddaughters have them.
Yeah, yeah. And
I
then
know those.
the beatbox bell, like she does beatbox bell too, like the little robot. I'm beatbox. I got the moves on beatbox. I'll dance with you, like beat bell, beat bell.
Wow.
So toys and I think in elevators. I mean, it's not as popular anymore, but like apps, like running apps, like you've gone 1 mile or workout things. Yeah, just so many random
It's a big
things. Really,
industry.
it's a huge industry, and especially now, like I said, with everything, people are getting educations online.
Right.
So it's voice actors that are like teaching them.
Right.
So yeah, I've just learned so much, and I've like so much random knowledge. And then you just don't look at places the same. Like every time I go into a 7-Eleven, I look at what's on the end of their aisle, and I'm like, oh, they did this because like they're trying to relate to the people in the community. Like depending on where the 7-Eleven is located is what will be at the end of the aisle. So if it's by a hospital, you're going to have more teddy bears and, you
Okay.
know, get
Gotcha.
well soon, or, that kind of thing, depending. Or if you're maybe at um, a bar, you're going to have condoms on the end. I don't know.
There you go. But so
I'm just
wait.
kidding.
No, so now. Whoa.
Oh no, yeah, that's another whole area.
Right. You just
Woo!
read my mind. So now in that area,
Right,
okay, professionally speaking, there's
right.
that area. But then personally speaking, I know that you've been approached by a guy. Yo, do you guys just get approached by, you know what, can you just call me up and just talk to me and
Oh, jeez. Oh,
give me
that's so
sex
funny.
talk? I know you do.
Okay, so when I was married, Dee, I didn't do any of those. Like, okay, listen. So
What's up,
what I
Mike?
yeah, what's up, Mike? What I did do, the most I ever really did do was I was the first person that you'd hear when you call one of those like 1-800 like call me for a good time. So what I did was like, hey, thanks for calling 1-800 girls. To speak to blah blah blah, press one. Like just one of those.
I love it.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's fun. That's fine. That's no big deal. But then the one that it was a job that was like so much money that I gave to my friend.
Yeah.
Actually, the girl that does lots of voices. It was like an erotica thing. Like, it was kind of
Yeah.
strange. It was like,
With
different
the
stories.
like the 80s, the 1-900 type of things, those?
Yeah, more like stories, right? Like, the stories, but goes really crazy. And I said no to that, and then after I'm like, you know what? I actually wanted to do that. I didn't care, but whatever. But now looking back, I'm like, yeah, I would do that. But yeah, that's a whole other thing too. But I would never be like like call me and I'm gonna like, hey
Right.
baby, what's going on? What are you
Right.
doing
But
tonight? Like I would,
right,
but
right. Now in your industry, again, like I said, for me, the way I think now, when I hear or when I go outside, anytime I see something that has something that's
yeah,
vocally coming out of it, I'm gonna think, wow, that was a human that recorded that, and that's
yeah.
a huge industry.
Yeah. It's cool because I love it when people start to, be mindful of voices and then you start to hear it everywhere and then you kind of pick it apart. Like my favorite part of watching TV is listening to the commercials because I'm like, oh, like so many times I'll see commercials that I auditioned for and I'm like, well, why did they go that route? Or it's like sometimes these voices, like, say the young adult range where my voice kind of sits, I can do like young adult or like more mature, but it's like your voices are so similar, right? Like our voices are like a lot the same. So it's like, well, why did they pick that audition? Like you're
Yeah.
trying to like pick apart like what did she do that I didn't do or whatever. But yeah, it's such an awareness that I have. Like even people's talking voices or even when I listen to people's phone messages or like if I read an audiobook and I can't like really stand the voice, I can't like listen to the audio
Right.
book, but I'm sure that's with everyone, right? If
Right.
someone's voice is annoying. It's crazy too if you actually look at the science of voices and how much it affects like the brain and if
I
someone's
was gonna
liked it
ask
or
you
not.
that, and I know you're
Yeah,
pressed for time. I was gonna ask you that, and I'm sure
yeah,
that's like a big conversation. I was gonna ask why
yeah. We
why
could, yeah.
Amanda does Bob Ross? You know who Bob Ross is, right? Remember
Is
the
he
paint,
yeah.
the afro,
Right.
just like this, just like that.
Yeah.
As his talking voice, and like when it comes to soothing me, like me and my son would just watch it, and his voice would just
Oh,
put me at rest and at at ease. And like you said, I'm
yeah.
sure there is some type of science, right, that
Yeah.
goes behind texture,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, there
Like the
definitely
way
is.
I could say Amanda, or I could say Amanda. Two
Yeah,
different.
for
I'm bringing about two
sure.
different emotions, and that's definitely scientific. Am I right?
Yeah, absolutely. And even if I'm reading a script, it's like, what kind of sincerity do I want to bring out? Like, how much passion or how much warmth or like,
Right.
the cadence and the elongation of things. Like, it's like, how can you manipulate your voice? And literally, Dee, like when I do auditions,
Right.
I'm trying to get into the mind of the person on the other end. Like, I'm literally thinking of my voice going like into the microphone, like into the ear of like the producer,
Right.
and I'm literally trying to like a fishing rod, like, okay, I'm gonna catch you with
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and that's part of like not overthinking it. Like I just kind of yeah, try to put my soul into it, and then like catch someone with like the texture or the, the message or the passion behind it. But it's really interesting. And the other thing too that's really big right now is that ASMR. Like, do you know what that is?
No, tell us.
I think that's the right pronunciations, but it's like, and that could be a Bob Ross thing too. It's like the texture behind like voices and sounds. Like literally on YouTube, people are like making millions of dollars like eating, and people are like listening to them eat, or like putting sheets on a bed, like the weirdest things, like the weirdest sounds. And that's been something that like we've been seeing in our industry in auditions more, is they want it to sound like ASMR, where like you kind of talk like,
Yo!
like,
I hate that. Yo,
Yeah. Like,
I hate when these cute chicks.
yeah.
Hey, cute chicks. Let me say something. Stop trying to talk with that right, Amanda, it's
But it's
that
a thing.
sleepy
It's a
voice.
thing.
So
It's a
there's
trend.
something. So how did that become a trend? The sleepy. I call it the sleepy voice. How did that become a trend?
I have no idea. I honestly, I don't know. It's just like, even like before, the way that voices were cast, it was more like bigger, like, hey, you're listening to Come On Down. That was the way that we advertised. And then it got more just, the anthems and the company having a heart to heart, that kind of girl next door style. And then, yeah, then now it's going to this next level where it is that kind of millennial,
The,
yeah, like, yo, hey, man. I was like gonna go here, but like, Nike will do these kind of things, and yeah, so yeah, yeah, it's
I
weird. You
can't
never
stand
know.
that. And oh, well, I know you have it. Speaking of voice over, don't you have a voice session coming up soon?
Yes, I do actually with Ford. So that's
What?
yes,
I wish
yeah,
I
I
had the
do.
D Wiz bomb drop right now from BYLR
Aw.
Radio. So you're about to do a Ford, so it's a Ford commercial, or you're doing some voice work for Ford?
So if you do drive a Ford, I am the voice of the Ford Pass app, like, and I teach you how to use it. So it's like an update for them. So
Whoa. So in a situation like this, you said I teach them how to use it. So they give you a script of all possible scenarios to go wrong with what's going on, or do they take words of you, like you said with Siri, and piece them together and make their own sentence?
they'll totally have a script like all good to go of exactly how they want me to say it. And yeah, I'll just read it, and they'll critique me. Actually, right before I got on the call with you, I was doing Mary Kay, and I was doing like their kind of anthem of like pumping up the people that work there, and they wanted like lots of attitude and confidence and like making you feel good about working there.
Right, right,
So
right,
yeah,
right,
it's
right.
all different.
You
But
like your work, Amanda?
I love it, Dee. And I love you too. Like, it's like we're both so passionate about what we
Huh.
do, and wouldn't have it any other way, right?
Right,
So
right, right,
it's
right.
like just so fun talking to you, and I hope I can do it again. And if you are listening to this, I'm trying to get the gig of being the voice of the Dee Wiz Conversations with Dee Wiz. So hopefully, actually, can I do a quick audition right now?
Go for it.
Okay, here's my script. I actually like wrote a script for it. Okay. Here's my script to you. Okay, let me know if you'd hire me. Music producer and one of the world's top DJs, Dee Wiz is turning the tables. Listen in as Dee talks with some of the most inspiring voices in entertainment today. This is Conversations with Dee Wiz. Woo!
Boom!
How is that? Hired?
Nice.
Got the gig?
It's hired,
Okay,
hired,
okay.
hired. Well,
Awesome.
Amanda, thanks for coming in. Now, where can I find you? Where can people find you that actually may even want to, you know what? I like the way she read that, and I want her to write something for me. How can I get in contact with you?
Yeah, you got it. So my website is amandasellersvo.com, or you can find me on Instagram, Amanda Eve Sellers. So, just find me. Reach out. I'm here.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. I have my good friend Miss Amanda Sellers. Thanks for coming and hanging out. And as you said, we're going to do this again because I actually do want to know some more. And we're going to actually talk more about like the technology of,
Yeah.
like, watch. From this
Yeah.
conversation, as we progress throughout the years and continue to have dialogue,
Yeah.
watch how things progress. And even you're going to have even more things. You know what, Dee? I even added this to my, repertoire of what I do now. It's
For
just,
sure.
I mean, it's just technology and the way things are going.
Yes.
But thanks for coming to hang out with me, Miss Amanda Sellers.
Thanks. Always a pleasure. I love you so much. And yeah, we'll talk real soon. Thanks for having me. So much fun.
Peace.